Why? Hello, welcome back, and thanks for listening to this special episode of Slate 6 mini episode where we're going to be discussing Three Friends, which we saw again at the London Korean Film Festival. And speaking of Three Friends, to my right is Joe.
Hello.
And to my left is Arlo.
Good evening.
It's a very good evening. I think this is the latest one we've done.
Burning the midnight oil.
If you'd like to give us a like, subscribe, follow at Sync86 on Instagram, Twitter, Gmails, be much appreciated.
Very softly spoken in the evening time.
Well, yeah, I don't want to wake up your neighbours. So, Three Friends, synopsis.
Or
Go.
Seijin-gu in Korean.
Very nice.
Directed by Yim Soon-rae, I think her name is.
She
I
gave a
butchered that.
brief introductory video, didn't she?
Yeah,
she
she couldn't join the London Korean Film Festival, so she sent a quick video over that was really nice. She's still working as well, isn't she?
Yeah.
Pretty
I think
good.
that's why she couldn't make it. Did she say she was working on another project?
All right.
Potentially made that up.
Yeah.
But
I believe you.
yeah, it was a really nice introduction, I thought.
Yeah.
It's good to,
All through the film festival, there's been really nice introductions.
Yeah. It has
Either
been really
they've had the directors there, or they've sent a video, or they've just had someone who's quite knowledgeable in Korean cinema or that particular film to give a brief introduction.
Next year it'll be us.
Next year, yeah.
I can fluff my way through some kind of introduction. I need to tell you, actually, I got interviewed for...
Oh, they told me.
I did it.
Yeah.
yeah.
And then Arlo just disappeared to the bathroom. So when it finished, I turned around and he wasn't there.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I did do that.
So Three Friends.
Yeah.
Want to give a quick overview?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like a traditional three-act film, was it?
No.
It was very much just following, obviously, three friends that had just graduated from high school that are choosing whether to complete their military service straight after, or maybe go off and do college for a couple of years or get jobs for a couple of years before they then do their military service.
And is military service compulsory?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so everyone does 2 years, apart from like special exemptions.
Right.
If you win an Olympic gold or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really weird. So yeah, everyone does 2 years, and I think you get graded depending on like your athletic ability and your intelligence and stuff. So like they put you in different areas.
Right, okay.
Some people are just there like directing traffic for 2 years, but some end up in like quite high up in the military, because obviously Korea's still technically at war.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. It's technically North and South still. They never signed a peace treaty or anything.
Oh,
like
right. I didn't know that.
that. So yeah, all the males have to do this
Yeah.
2-year military service.
What do females do? Is there equivalent?
No.
Okay. So, well, interesting you say that, because this movie was directed by a female director. As we said.
Well, we briefly talked about this off mic. It's quite a bold decision for a female director, and she wrote the screenplay as well.
Yeah.
To tackle this subject.
Damn it.
Obviously, it's quite prevalent in Korean society, but she wouldn't have had first-hand experience of what it feels like to have this kind of pressure on you about when you take it.
Yeah, they don't really focus that much of like once they go in, or one of them actually goes in, but it does focus a lot on the build-up and the process of it and the feelings.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you say, it is a bold move for her to like take that on and tell that story.
Yeah, definitely.
I thought where the film may have suffered a little bit was each of the three friends as characters. They were just quite archetypal. So you kind of had the almost like buffoon, comedy relief, overweight guy who kind of just sleeps and eats a lot.
Yeah.
And then probably your more kind of traditional Hollywood lead who's like quite handsome, like pursuing what wants to be a comic book illustrator.
Yep.
and also relatively emotionally intelligent, which you see throughout the film as well.
Yeah.
And then the gay guy who's struggling with his kind of family life, and he wants to be a hairdresser, and it's kind of it seems like it's frowned upon.
Yeah.
But
It kind of, those three characters were so heavily, well, they're quite big stereotypes, weren't they?
Yeah.
In a sense, three people that you wouldn't expect to be friends, but three, like we were saying after the film, three aspects of society that within males that aren't seen as masculine.
Yeah.
And so you've got this like dichotomy between them not being masculine but having to be forced to do this masculine thing, which is go to military service.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting. Shit, like
Yeah.
the conversation it raises around masculinity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
It was really, really cool.
Yeah, I think that's a separate film in itself. I actually probably would have rather watched something about that, you know, a more emotionally heavy,
Yeah.
because it obviously does touch upon it, but it's not like the main driving force behind the film, I would say. Or maybe they just kind of, I don't know, it wasn't written quite right. I can't put my finger on it.
Yeah,
that
no,
well.
I'd agree with that. I think it wanted to tell this really like in deep study of those three aspects.
Yeah.
But it either had to hit a runtime or something, because it kept throwing in random storylines about like the promiscuous female hairdresser
Yeah.
and stuff that didn't quite fit with the narrative, I felt.
Yeah, I agree with that. And also there was a kind of like, we weren't sure on this coming out, like there was kind of an ambiguous sexual assault in there. Do you remember that bit?
I know. I think I thought you two were reading that wrong, personally. About when the guy gets beaten up by.
Yeah, by the hairdresser's boyfriend.
See, I just thought
he's a pimp, right?
Well, I thought he just represented kind of like the masculine character.
Yes.
And just bullying this like.
But he also did say, if I were to whip out my like penis right now, I bet you'd want to put it in your mouth and stuff like that to the gay character.
Yeah,
which is what
potentially
made
then.
me think it was sexually
Yeah.
aggravated. But
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, it is.
because he was really badly affected by it when it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Yeah, it weirdly runs quite long, but not that much happens.
Well, no, I mean, it was only
Just
an hour and 20, wasn't it?
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, it felt a lot longer.
I think it was 92 minutes. Yeah, it was slow pace, right?
Yeah.
Very slow pace to the film.
But
I don't know if that's part of like the claustrophobic nature of, because it was quite small town Korea, wasn't it? It was
yeah.
like almost like quite a suffocating environment. They're stuck there.
Yeah.
They're just on the edge of adulthood, and military service is this looming thing that they're going to have to address at some point. But there's also not that much waiting for them otherwise. They don't have a lot of other ways out.
Yeah, I think they were like the fringe. They weren't like poor, but they were just like working class. They would have just gone into those jobs and stayed in those jobs in that same area of, I'm guessing, like outskirts of Seoul.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's also why the main character, I forget his name. It was Moo.
I don't think they
Kim
really
Tae-moo.
gave
Well,
them
no,
away,
so
did they?
so I was reading this. They didn't have names. They had like, well, their names like the big guy was called like Pork Belly, and
The
something
main
like
guy was
that.
called Kim Tae-moo.
Oh, really?
I think
Yeah.
that's the only name they gave away.
Oh, right.
But I think with the rest of the film, they don't really say it. I'm sure they do have names, but they don't call each other.
Is it not Gong Seung?
Oh, it might be. I might be completely wrong. About that.
No, I feel like at one point midway through, I was like, I don't know what any of these guys are called. And then
Yeah.
it's the one.
They definitely said Kim Tae-moo quite a few times.
Yeah, they did. But that was the main guy. That's the
Yeah.
guy that actually ends up doing the service.
Yes.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, no, I thought his storyline with the potential creative output and like,
Yeah.
he's clearly got a talent, and like the most discernible talent of the three. I mean, I suppose The hairdressing. There's that scene where the woman says that he's better than his mum is.
Yeah.
Which is quite sweet. But yeah, the illustration is like clear that he has a talent for it, and yet it doesn't go anywhere, and he gets rebuffed by. In fact, that opening near the start where he goes to the agency, and he says that he wants to work for them, and then he just becomes this errand boy, and he's treated awfully by the kind of more senior illustrators.
Yeah, and then the next lot rip his stuff off, don't they?
Yeah, they
But it's not really resolved.
Well, this is another thing that was said earlier about it just like bringing up these different plot points and dropping them again.
Yeah.
I think it was trying to talk a little bit about, same with Bloodline as well, like the disparity between the children and the parents.
Yeah.
But again, didn't have enough time, or didn't focus on that enough for it to kind of be like hit home.
Yeah.
There's almost that fantasy element of his obsession with comics as well. Like that's how he gets away from what is a very mundane life.
Yeah.
There's nothing else going on.
Well, I mean, like you were saying earlier, like he's definitely the most like emotionally intelligent one, but but the other two kind of represent like obesity and homosexuality. But I think he kind of represented like almost quiet introvert.
Yeah, like
obsessed
nerd.
with comics. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, they were all stereotypes that would be picked on in a school playground, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he
And
had
they
a- he had a
initially
bit
were
more
on the
about
last
him,
day,
didn't he?
weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there was that scene where he confronted the guy who attacked his friend and was like punching him basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
He got
he's
his ass kicked.
Yeah.
And the fat guy ran away.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, we say fat. I mean, he was enormous. He's
Yeah.
like 6 foot, and what was it? How much did they say he weighed? Because there's the scene where he gets on the scales.
yeah.
He's like 130
He
kilos.
must have been at least 130, I reckon.
Yeah.
Because then the naked little kid, looked up at him and was like laughing at him.
Yeah. They showed naked little penis too, didn't they?
Yeah, that was
Quite
weird.
weird. Weird for like censorship in, they're
I
like
think
having a
it's-
dig at military service, but that's fine.
Maybe they just see. Maybe that's just harmless.
Yeah, true. I mean, it is.
There's no way you'd have that in Western cinema.
No. But
But-
if he'd ran or just like moved a bit at a slight pace, he would have knocked that other guy flying.
What, in the fight?
Yeah, in the
Yeah,
fight.
yeah,
Because
definitely.
I thought it was going to happen. I was like, oh yeah, this is going to be like his
Redemption.
his arc
Yeah.
of being like, because he's basically a slob that does nothing for no one apart from himself. Really, he's getting fat to get out of military service. He works in a video store and loves porn. So and I thought, oh, this is like he's just going to step up, and it's like this is why they're friends with this guy. He's, he's happy with himself by helping a friend out.
Yeah, definitely. Although, like, I would have liked it to kind of hit home those messages a bit better. I did enjoy some of the comedy relief that he gave.
He was probably the best actor.
Yeah, I
in the
think
film.
so.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, some of his scenes in the book rental, no, not book, video rental store were pretty funny. It was so weird, that little like hatch area that there was a toilet like behind all the tapes. It's so weird that those places used to
I
exist.
know.
It reminded me of a Blockbuster. I was like, these places don't exist anymore.
We never had a Blockbuster down where I grew up. We had like one of those like dingy little places that just had videos all over the walls, and they had one copy of each video per
Yeah,
time.
well, that's what they say.
Like,
Why don't you make another copy? It's like only you and the old man down the road rent that out anyway. Just wait till he brings it back.
what did you think of? A lot of it was very silent. There was no like music really in the background.
No.
If there was silences in speech, it was dead air.
I think it added to like the dreariness and boredom of it.
Yeah.
That actually kind of, looking back on it, it worked in its favour. When you're in the cinema, you kind of are a bit like, oh, this is strange. But actually, it kind of adds to the scenery, I think.
Well, anything like that generally makes you feel quite uncomfortable. Anyway,
Yeah, I'm with Andrew on that. I think it was probably a conscious decision just to accentuate this feeling of mundanity and hopelessness and lack of opportunity for the three boys in the film. And maybe also a slight foreshadowing to what happens to Kim Tae-moo when he actually fulfills his military service.
yeah, that was a bit of a weird one, because they kind of they only set that plot point up during the medical examination when he says, "Oh, you've got an ear infection. Be careful." And then he goes to military service, and someone just
on the head.
slaps him round the side of the head, and he goes deaf.
It is the guy in charge, right?
Yeah.
His marshal or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think it goes... It's something to do with the pacing that makes it... You know, if that had been set up more towards the start...
Yeah.
It would have felt like there would be more weight to it, and you kind of understand it a bit better. But because it happened to, you know, say third act for argument's sake, and then you don't realise until they're on the roof shouting his name when he walks back, it doesn't happen. And then there's another scene after where someone else has something big and loud, and he doesn't notice. But because it's all happened so fast, like when we came out, I remember we were both like, "Is he deaf? Like, or was it? Is it going to heal or something?
Is it temporary?
Yeah. So much of it is ambiguous.
Yeah, you're right. Like when I heard that in the medical examination, I was like, "This is coming back."
Yeah.
They set it up very quickly for the payoff.
Yeah, and I don't know why they didn't do that at the start.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe they filmed it in chronological order and just decided to put that in during the process.
Yeah, true.
It was quite nice in a way that, like, but his happy place was by himself in silence drawing. So it wasn't like, if he'd been like a music geek or something like that, then it would have been pretty heartbreaking. But I mean, he didn't seem like destroyed by it during the last couple of scenes.
That's a good point, actually. One thing I did really like is their interactions with each other. Like, they don't say a lot to each other, but you can still tell that they're like childhood friends in a way.
Yeah.
You know, like all their interactions, they seem very like normal and...
Yeah, the friendship was very believable.
Yeah.
They're just complaining at each other, like, "Oh, you're so fat. Oh, you're doing it." Yeah,
but you could tell they'd like grown up together, and they were really.
Yeah, it's those kind of like
else.
old friends that, like, as you get older in life, you kind of gravitate towards people that you actually have things in common with.
Yeah.
And like your oldest friends, you very rarely do.
But you have such like an underlying.
But you've just
love,
been there.
don't
Yeah,
you?
exactly. Yeah. And so it was that type of friendship.
Yeah.
More like family than friendship
exactly.
in a way.
Yeah, so the bit where they medically examined the kid who was attacked.
Yes.
I don't understand why he didn't get in for military service. There was some kind of exemption list, and he pointed at one of the exemptions, and they asked him about it, which is what made me think he was sexually assaulted.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
I either assumed that or him being a homosexual. He either came out as a...
I don't know.
Because I know there used to be a thing in the British Army. I don't know if it's still the same, actually. Is that no, you're not allowed to be a homosexual in the army.
That's ridiculous. But,
yeah, it is ridiculous. But I feel like it was either that or he'd been sexually assaulted, I think.
I don't think it was that he revealed that he was homosexual, because when he was sat with kind of 5 or 6 other men, and when he put his hand up, the others all stood up to go off into line, and one of them kind of like patted him on the back in almost like a sympathetic kind of way.
Yeah, but they didn't reveal which one of the things on the list it was.
Yeah.
They said, if you have been affected by one of these things in the list, then put your hand up and stay, and then tell us which one it is.
Maybe you're right.
But then his motivation was also, he was speaking to the military official, and he said, "Why do you want to join so badly?" And he said, "Because I want to be more masculine." And the official was actually quite nice about it and was like, "That's not why you join.
Yeah,
it's like you're not going to become more masculine if you do this."
Yeah.
And the point of the movie was that they didn't want to do it. You know, it was about them trying to get out of it. So
yeah, I mean, no one wants to do it, really. Apparently, it is like a pretty horrific couple of years.
I can imagine.
When you, because like your first year, you do get like the older ones that are like, that have been there maybe a year and a half, coming to the end. They're like, eh.
Yeah, it just carries on that kind of like patriarchal, like boarding school type. Yeah, that bullshit.
Yeah.
So.
It reminded me of, I don't know if you've ever heard "The River" by Bruce Springsteen.
Have I
No.
ever heard the river?
Yeah.
But basically, there's I think he played it live at the LA Coliseum, and there's like a recording of it, and he tells this like long story before he sings the song about how his dad was like, you know, this really over masculine guy who was like, wait till the army gets hold of you, like they'll get hold of you and they'll make you a man,
Yeah.
blah blah blah. And this was like when Vietnam was happening.
Yeah.
So he said loads of his friends got drafted into the army and never came back from Vietnam. And the day before he had his examination, he just went out all night with his friends, like got absolutely hammered,
You would.
took a load of drugs, like just basically trying to get out of it. And he went in and they failed him.
Nice.
And he went back home and his dad was like, so what happened? And he said, they didn't take me. And then his dad just said, that's good. And it's like, and he tells that whole story.
That's
It's
really
quite,
nice.
I guess it's like the US equivalent, or like it's quite interesting subject matter, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like having to obligatorily even go into the army.
Yeah.
I think there is that, like, especially in Korean culture, after you've done it, there's a bit of a bond, like, oh, we survived, like, army service in a way.
Yeah. Well, it's quite crazy. My brother is in the military or just coming out, and the amount of like discounts he gets from a lot of the time it seems to be tradesmen that have been in the military at some point in their lives, and just like, I'll give you like a knockdown price. So there is a weird camaraderie to it. Should we score this?
Yeah.
Do you want to say any more?
No, I'm good. I'm going to give it a 3.8 out of 6.
Oh, that's quite high.
Again, like, it was one of those, it's same as kind of Idol, my view of that. Like, at the time when I was watching it, there was bits that kind of dragged and stuff, but like, having come out and reflected on it a bit more and the meaning behind it, I've grown an appreciation for it. Like, those things that I didn't like, those uncomfortable moments, were put in there intentionally for a reason. And that's why I think it's actually a like fairly decent film.
Cool. Arno?
I was going to say the exact same thing.
Oh, sweet.
In terms of scoring, I think 3.8's fair. I mean, it's kind of, for me, it's like quite an average score. But like we touched on earlier, I think there were themes that could have been better developed, that were set up quite nicely, but they're never really analysed enough.
Yeah.
But I actually quite liked the whole bleak overlook of the film, like the kind of bare directorial style and the lack of music, and I did enjoy that.
I'm gonna go a bit lower, not much lower, 3.4, but just because I agree with you guys on all those things, but there's a bit of me that's just like, it's kind of a missed opportunity. Like, there was so much room for expansion, and I get like why you would choose to do the pace and whatever, but there's just a few things that was like, it could have been so much better. And I love the whole idea of it, but
it's a really interesting topic to tackle. I can't think of any Korean film that's tackled that subject. I'm probably wrong though. I might have to ask.
And we should have said at the start, 80s, right?
96.
90s. Oh, 90. Oh yeah, they do have sweet 90s outfits actually.
If not, I definitely think that would be an area for the future, and a director to go back and kind of revisit this.
Definitely.
Maybe with like, a modern swing on it as well. Definitely.
Yeah, I like the idea of that. Sounds good.
Maybe we should do it.
Ooh.
3 friends making 3 friends.
That makes 6. And on that note, thanks for listening.
See you next time.